high-end radios. Like with any hobby that exists, you have sort of the entry level, I guess I would say it, and then you have kind of the mid-tier, and then you come up to the boys. Same exists with headphones, the same exists with watches. Two of the other hobbies that I'm into. You know, you have your entry-level headphones and your entry-level watches and your mid-tier watches and your mid-tier headphones, and then you have the gods. So these are what are considered the three flagship headphones. We have the ICOM ID52, the Kenwood THD74. This isn't centered. Look at that. Let's get the Kenwood in the center there, since it is what I would consider the best of the three. And then we have the Yaesu FT5 3D. Three good radios by good manufacturers, or I guess reputable manufacturers. But I've always wanted to kind of compare HTs. And I compare these to each other, even though they are kind of in different price points. These two are in the same price point. This one is quite a bit lower than the other two, but still, you're talking about flagship radios, flagship features. You know, you have USB charging, you have tri-band, and you have, well, okay, it's Yaesu. So with Yaesu, you're getting just a solid radio, right? You're not really getting anything special, but it does all of those things very well. When I was looking at headphones, or when I was looking at HTs, I wanted to have a comparison to something, right? Where it's like, you know, you get these radios like the Alinco, and the Alinco is not too bad. And I also have an Alinco DJ7T, or DJG7T. But what I wanted to have a radio that was the whipping boy. It's like, at least I didn't lose to him. And so with these top end radios, they all compare to each other. And some YouTuber that will remain nameless put out a video saying, is a Kenwood D74 better than a Baofeng? I'll let you go ahead and answer that question. Obviously, it's much better. The only downside is the price. And so I wanted to have a radio that was comparable to these and say, at least I didn't lose to them. Enter the Anytone. This is a radio that I've heard a lot about. People proclaim this radio, right? This is not a low-end radio. This is more of like a solid mid-tier radio, but when it comes to Anytone, it's at the top end. So a top-end radio for under $300. Looking at this, you would think, okay, this is it's a $300 radio or under $300. And we're not comparing this to the Baofengs. We're not comparing it to the Redivis or the TYT or any of those other extremely cheap brands that are just sort of like they exist. And I didn't want to compare radios to those, because one of the things that I was really afraid of is that people would see those radios and be like, well, obviously your $700 Kenwood or your $650 ICOM is going to beat a Baofeng. And obviously it is. The Baofeng is made for a specific group of people, and those are people that are looking for a low-end radio. But what about people that are looking for kind of a mid-tier radio? And so I bought this. And I wanted to hate this thing, right? I wanted this to be, well, at least it's better than an Anytone, whatever model number this is, because I don't remember. It's whatever the newest one is, but not the newest. This one does not send APRS, but it receives or whatever. But the newest one sends and receives APRS. And so I bought this, I plugged it in to program it, and it didn't work. And I said, look at that, it's garbage. It failed just like I thought it would. But then something happened. I decided to give it a second go. I decided I was going to sit down and I was going to actually spend time with this Anytone. And because I'm into watch collecting, one of the big watch websites is Hodinkee, and they do a thing called a week on the wrist in order to get an idea of how a watch feels over the course of a week. So I use this radio for a week, and I was destined that at the end of that week, I was going to get rid of this thing at a ham fest, and it was going to be that garbage radio that I never used again. And it said, well, look at that. If you go ahead and buy a FT5, or even if you go for the FT3, it'll easily pounce all over that. Look at that. The Anytone can't even stand up straight. But I was surprised at the end of that week. Remember, I was looking for a villain. This was my villain. But what this turned out to be was actually a love story. This radio is better than people give it credit for. I was listening to the repeaters, and there's a gentleman on the repeater who made a comment and said, he has all the top end radios, very similar to what I have. I think he has the FT3. I don't think he has the FT5. He has an FT70. He has a lot of these top end radios. And he said if he had to get rid of every radio, he would keep this Anytone. So I bought this because I'm like, I'm going to prove this guy wrong. He's 90 years old, 80 years old. I don't know. He's ancient. And I'm going to show that I know more than he does. And guess what? This radio was amazing. Okay, I have to explain. It is not amazing in the same level that this is amazing. But this right here is a solid radio. I got it programmed, put all of my stuff in it. The programming software is a pain. You have to download co-plugs for DMR. I can't stand DMR. I don't like it. I don't like the sound quality. I don't like the people on it. I don't like DMR. But the programming software wasn't all that bad. Once you found out how certain things work, you have to make groups. And once you make those groups and you put things within those groups, it makes the software easier to manage. You start throwing things into there, you have your repeater list, you have all of your contacts, and it works out great. This uses waterproof-ish plugs on it. This is a radio that, remember, when I talk about going to the dunes, I'm always worried that this thing's screen is going to get damaged. I also don't take the Kenwood because I'm worried that the Kenwood, well, first off, the Kenwood biggest problem is the battery, but I worry that this is a really high-end radio and they don't make it anymore, so there's no way to replace it. And then the ICOM was not out when I went up to the dunes. Well, it was, but I had other plans during the summer. I had to get surgery and stuff. Ignore any of that. So this right here, this Anytone, this would be the radio that I would take with me. This is not the top-end radio. It is the top-end Anytone, but it's not the top-end radio that exists. This is just a really, really solid radio. I keep trying to get it into shot, and it's like I cut the bottom off and the knobs are there. So what are the positives about this thing? It does digital, all right? Digital being DMR. And take DMR as you will. Honestly, if you never use DMR on this radio, I still think that you're getting a really good radio. So think about it as you're getting a really good radio with DMR included into it. This has a decently sized battery on it. Ignore the screws. I actually, when I was opening the box, I'm an idiot and I dropped one of the screws, so I had to replace the screws and I had to have them be symmetrical. This in the box comes with the drop-in charger. It comes with the speaker mic that plugs into here. It comes with the programming cable. All of those things are add-on extras for Yaesu, Kenwood, and ICOM. And it comes in the box, right? Go to DX Engineering right now and look up how much the charging cable for the ICOM costs to plug it in using the 12-volt plug. And you will be surprised at the price of that. I'm telling you, you have a price in your head. It's more expensive than you think. This comes with that in the box, along with the drop-in charger, along with the speaker mic, along with the programming cable. And the programming cable isn't some ridiculously stupid USB cable. Some ridiculously stupid serial cable. It is a USB cable that plugs right into the side. Yes, it does take a while to program, but you know, the Kenwood's my fastest programming radio, and that's USB. The ICOM is very comparable because it's USB. Yaesu, your stuff sucks. Get rid of all your little, like, catch up to the future, Yaesu. I have the reason I'm so critical of Yaesu is because I think they can get better. I don't think they will because, you know, like I said, the guy that works for Yaesu is very arrogant and thinks he knows everything about everything in amateur radio, and so I don't see them improving. But anyway, back to this Anytone. This radio right here is the best, worst radio. I originally bought this to be the whipping post. Originally to be the radio that it's like, this thing sucks. This radio is really good. Get the new version though. The new version has APRS built in. It does APRS both send and receive. This one does one but not the other, and I don't remember which one it is. So if you get one of these older versions, just consider the fact that you don't have APRS in it. You can flash the firmware on these with some weird firmware and have this so that it'll do 220. I obviously put a diamond antenna on the end of it. Where's the serial number? Right there. And so this only does 70 and 2. But either way, this is a solid radio. The battery lasts a very, very long time on a full charge. The radio itself is very robust. I've dropped and beat the crap out of this radio. As you can see, it's got a little scuff mark on it from where it's been dropped. I've dropped my ICOM and it took a chunk out of the plastic right there. Come on, ICOM. But this thing, I'm telling you, it's built like a tank. And I'm saying that as someone who's actually been around tanks. This is a real one radio. This one is legitimately good. This is something you should consider. So if you find yourself in the market for the new ICOM, for if you can somehow find one of the older Kenwoods, or you're in a market for an FT5, and then there's the Anytone, this is not a bad option. I always say there is only 3 flagship radios that exist. I'm going to add a 4th one into there. This is the bottom of the top end. Then this one. This one used to be the Yaesu used to be the bottom of the top end. Now that's the Anytone. This Anytone has really proven itself. And remember, when I set out, I wanted to say, well, these 3, at least they're not as bad as this. There is a slight learning curve to this, but it is really solid. I bought the version through PowerWorks. You can also get it through Bridgecom. I would highly suggest that you get it through one of those reputable websites, either through Bridgecom or through PowerWorks, mostly so that you can get the customer service and all of that stuff that comes along with it, because their customer service is actually really good. You could go online and ask questions and not have the guy from Yaesu sit there and call you stupid and berate you and all of that stuff. But it's like a really, really solid radio. And I think that anyone who's considering any of these 3 or wants to get into like purchasing a high-end HT, if you buy this, you will forget that these other 3 even exist. I have to find a place to put them off camera. I think you will just buy this and be happy with it. And so where does this live? Right? Where does this radio live at? Because I have so many choices of HTs. When I walk out of the house, what do I want to take with me? Or where do I want to have, or where do I store these radios? So upstairs, and just so I'm upstairs right now, my HT's right here. This is my computer screen. And then over there is where I keep all my HTs. So I have in order the Kenwood, the Alinco, Yaesu, and an ICOM. So where do I keep this at? This one stays downstairs so that I can grab it when I leave the house really quick. And so I don't think that there's any higher regard than that. That if I have to pick one radio to walk out the front door with and have something on me that I know is going to be super solid, it's this radio right here. So there was a, almost 13-minute rant of me going on about how much I hate to love the Anytone. So if you guys have any questions, leave them down in the comments below. Matt K0LWC has talked about this radio before, and I bought it because of his review over it, and I saw that you gave me a shout out. Matt was one of the, actually, okay, here's a fun fact about me. Matt was the first amateur radio YouTuber that I subscribed to on my actual real YouTube account. This one's just my amateur radio account, but I subscribed to him because I think that he does really good reviews and he's very honest about them, versus some of the other YouTubers where they just throw anything at the wall hoping that something will get traffic. So thanks, Matt, for the shout out of the last one. And I did see everyone's questions and comments. I just haven't answered all of them and stuff like that. But trust me, I'm out there. I see your guys' stuff. And if there's anything worth answering, I'll kind of respond to it. I've been on the internet long enough. I know what a troll is. But thanks, Matt, for the review of this radio. And like I said, if you guys really want this, I highly suggest you do it. I don't have affiliate links or anything below because I think that if you have affiliate links, it creates a bias and stuff like that. And I want to give you an honest opinion about what I feel about this radio. So go and try to buy that. Get it through Bridgecom, get it through PowerWorks, get it through another website. But thanks everyone for watching. Stay safe out there.